Hey besties! Welcome back to Sip and Chat, where we spill the tea on life lessons. I'm Anna.
And I'm Teresa.
And welcome to episode Forgiveness Isn't Amnesia. I love that word, amnesia.
It does sound very poetic.
Yes. As y'all know, we've been talking about different conflicts that arises in whatever relationship you might be in your marriage, be in work, be in friends, be in family. But with all the conflicts and ways to handle it, there also comes the part of forgiveness, which is the most important key of all. I know sometimes we say forgive and forget, but do we really?
You don't really forget sometimes.
Because there's forgiveness, but there's also memory.
Yes. And sometimes you said you moved on, but it still crosses your mind and your blood boils.
Yes. I feel like part of forgiving is a process, and to forgive is a decision that you make. It's like when me and my husband, we talk about certain things and we say, okay, this happened. We're going to say when we move on. And then it's like 3 weeks down the road.
You remember this?
Yeah. And it's like
this and that.
And that is not a healthy cycle, y'all.
No.
That is where your conflicts come from. That is where that buildup comes from. And sometimes it doesn't even affect another person, but it's actually affecting you. It affects you, in your soul. It can affect your everyday. It can affect different relationships you can hold as well. Because when you forgive, there's a healing process that you have to go through. There's stages where, at the beginning, it's going to be a little bit, like hurtful. It's going to still be there. And I feel like acknowledging it is what's really important. Because sometimes we tend to say, oh yeah, I forgive. But like I said, you don't forget. Yeah. Like you still keep holding on to that rope.
But I also feel like that talk isn't given to be able to heal through, because I feel like talking oftentimes diminishes a lot of feelings you have about a person or towards a situation when you try to understand their perspective. And I think sometimes that's what we miss. We don't really talk to that person that is in charge to be able to really get to the bottom of it or how you feel. I think we just kind of go off and we're like, oh, well, this person is this. And we just have that mentality about them. And at the end of the day, if we don't have that talk and heal through whatever we're going through, then sometimes you can't come to a conclusion, but sometimes you can meet in the middle and, agree to disagree and respect each other. And sometimes, all the time, it takes just hoping in God and trusting in God that He will give you that.
That's your main key.
Yeah.
Like you gotta trust in God.
He'll give you the instruments to be able to heal through it.
I know we tend to reserve a lot of memories because, that's the biological factor of us. Like, you're going to remember everything, especially special timings, big traumas, small traumas,
happy
what's
crazy?
Moments.
I don't remember things.
Really?
Yeah. Things that happened to me, when I was younger, I don't remember. I remember the key things, but things that people did to me or that I did to them, or when it comes to forgiveness, yes, there's a couple situations I can think about, but not many. There's only 3 main ones.
I feel like I have a very sharp memory because I remember a lot of things because I can still remember even since from whenever, I honestly always talk to my coworkers about, I always think about kindergarten and I can still smell my classroom. That's how.
Oh yeah. I can see that because I smell like crayons and I'm like, oh, this reminds me of kindergarten.
I sit there and I can still do that, or I can still picture perfectly image of my teacher and what she was wearing on my first day of school.
Oh my God.
I for some reason I do, but I do know that my mind did block a lot of things. I guess that's because your mind tends to try to block, or your brain tries to protect, and it blocks things.
Yeah.
So sometimes I notice that I'll have like gaps here and there.
Yeah. I'm like, what happened after my mom left? Like, I don't remember. That's it.
Which I feel like it's part of, I want to say
Elementary school, I remember some points when I was hugging my mom, because this story has been told. I feel like you see pictures and you see, like, you hear stories over and over. I feel like you remember what people tell you and what you see, but not literally what you lived. But that's my theory. I don't really know, but what I've been told and what I've seen is what I remember. But other than that, I don't remember.
And see, to me, it also, like, even when it comes to problems and conflicts, like, I can memorize exactly when it happened.
I'm gonna hold that grudge until the day I forget.
And I'm very
Does that make you more grudgeful, like resentful towards people?
I feel like for me, it's not grudgeful, but it can make me very I'm the person that will put up a wall and then won't bring it back down. And sometimes I forget that not everyone is the same story. Not everything will be the same situation. But because in my mind, I have that so engraved, I'm like, no. The moment that I start feeling
that, let that go over again.
Yeah, like the moment I start feeling it, I'm like, I'm done. Like, no, I will literally, like, I'm over it. And it's not good, because forgiveness also holds a certain power. And you can really tell in your emotions if you really forgave. Because being someone that forgives means that you're not going to be bitter.
Yeah.
And we tend to sometimes, well, I know for me, like, speaking for myself, I know when I truly forgave and when I really don't, because when it leaves that bitter taste in you, I know I'm like, okay, no. Like, honestly, I have not been able to let this go.
Yeah. And I feel like it does come down to, like, having the conversation with that person. If it's towards a person or something that happened towards you. Like, I feel like oftentimes the only one you can blame is yourself of how you take those things.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I do have some kind of amnesia, that I don't remember something. I can literally have a discussion with you that something that made me so mad. I can go home and maybe think about it a couple of hours, and then after that, I don't remember. Like, I will talk to you like I'm okay, like, because I don't remember. Not because I'm being, like, stuck up or anything, but I just kind of block that out. I think I do forgive fast, though. I do forgive fast, and I just kind of move on. But
I'm very slow to forgiveness. I'm real honest about that.
And sometimes it does take a process for some people.
I know. For me, I've learned to be more honest with people instead of just saying, okay, yeah, it's okay. Because I used to do that a lot. I used to just be like, it's fine, when I knew truly deep down it was not.
Yeah.
But because since I knew the situation wasn't like category 5, it was a category 1, but I didn't want to put any more into it, so I would be like, it's fine. But then I feel like it starts to evolve into a category 5 in your own mind. Like, the situation could be done for.
Spiral.
Yes, but your feelings, like, it's just like there. So I've learned to kind of be like, hey, I truly, do forgive, but it's gonna take me a while before we can, like, really talk about this, or really, kind of see each other again.
Give me a time.
Yeah, and me personally, I feel like if someone ever does, like, said that to you, they're valid in their point, because you really don't know. Like, I feel like people have different emotions and different, like, ways of feeling, and you don't know how deep you can cut, especially to someone. You don't know sometimes what people forget, that before you were there has been a past.
Yeah.
And even when you are there, there's still, like, a timeline that they live through that you might not be part of.
Yeah.
So you really don't know if what you did or what was said or what was done was something that they've already dealt with, and it's just hitting harder.
Yeah, and I think also in those situations, people don't seem to be understanding. Like, you can say literally the most minimal word or do the minimal action, and people go off because you could have touched them the wrong way, and they've been raped or taken, or no, like kidnapped or
Yeah.
whatnot. Or they've been verbally abused as a child, and growing up, anything you say can hurt them. And I worked with a coworker that anything you told that girl, she would be hurt, like, and she would hold grudges. Like, it would take her a while. And it actually happened with me, and I was like, oh shoot. Like, I could have been better of approaching that situation, but like, I didn't mean it the way that she took it.
Yeah.
And to have a conversation with her was kind of hard.
Which I feel like it's where the body, keeps score. Like, it's where, we tend to, like you were talking about, the way you touch someone, the way you talk to them, like, it can trigger things, which is really true. Because I know me personally, for the longest, a lot of people never really understood, while I've always been, I want to say, cold, because people mostly considered it that. They would see that I would not incline to want to hug people, and they always thought it was really weird.
Yeah.
And I hated, still to this day, I hate when people come up from behind, and I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, please don't do that. Yeah. Because it really upsets me in the moment. Like, my nervous system really does go off. I tend to, like, oh my God. Yeah, like, and it's like
it's happening again. Oh, that's so sad.
And it's like, which is trauma from like when I was younger, which I think when I was maybe in like my teen years, I really didn't understand where it was coming from, because like I said, I feel like a lot of things I really did block when I was younger. Yeah. So I did not want to remember. And when, like I said, when I came back, into church and stuff, I feel like there was a part of me that started to heal, but a lot of it started to unlock a lot of memories that I just didn't want to surface anymore. And I feel like the more that you try to like block that memory instead of, actually,
going through it, like processing it.
Yeah, you tend to like, it gets worse and worse. Yeah. And I know for a while there, I used to be really bad about, if you would even come up and touch my hair, I would go off. Mm-hmm. And I would get really mad, and people wouldn't understand why, and they would get upset with me. And I'm like, and I couldn't explain myself at the moment. It was more of a, just leave me alone.
Just don't do that.
Yeah. And it was like, and people didn't understand that. I mean, I had one friend one time, oh my gosh, and I felt so bad. And I know that they didn't mean it or anything like that. They were just playing around. But I remember they had came up from behind, and I think whenever they went to like hug me from behind, I kind of like, I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was in deep thought, or maybe I was working on something, and it really just, I did not see it, and I did not mean to, but in that moment, I feel like I hit them, but I also scratched them in the face. Oh. And I felt so bad. And I know me and that friend never talked again. We never talked about it. Because, I mean, they were so mad at me. And I didn't know how to explain that to them, because it was just, like I said, it was a part of my life that I just did not want to talk about. Yeah. So I felt really bad. And I was kind of like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know, like,
how to react at this point.
I still remember them telling me it was okay, but we never talked after that.
Well, it was not okay.
It was not. And I will say, if you're out there, you know who you are. You are understood.
I feel like whenever I was in elementary school, no, middle school, I can't remember. But this boy snapped my butt. Like, it was elementary school at one time, and then middle school. I was getting off the bus, and this guy, like, hit my butt, and I hit them so hard. I was like, I did not feel bad. I kept walking. I was like, you don't hit my butt. And I was like, I just kept walking. But he never hit my butt after that. And then there was this guy that I had dated. And then we were walking outside, but we weren't dating at that time. And he smacked my butt too. And I literally backhand smacked the crap out of him. Mm-hmm. He was in shock. I was like, well, you don't hit my butt. He never did it again. Oh, but I was like, girl, like those kind of things you don't do.
Yes.
Mm-mm. But I feel like I didn't hold a grudge, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to get close to you. Yeah. Like you say, like, hold your perimeters, like, keep your distance. Yeah. But we're good.
Like, we ain't going to go through this again.
Yeah. I'm going to learn my lesson.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I feel like the body does react in certain ways, because I know sometimes, we can freeze up, or we can
And it's also with conversations too.
yes.
Like conversations, we can also block out. Like, hey, I'm not gonna
Yes.
like. There's a lot of people who are not very vocal, which is valid. Like in their mind of how they think. Like no one should know what I go through, and no one should.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you're comfortable to share things, they're oftentimes not very vocal with talking about trauma from the past.
Yeah.
And I'm very open about what happens to me because it could help somebody else.
Yeah.
For example, like my mom leaving us when we were younger. Girl, I had the most resentment towards my mom when I was younger. I think until this day, we don't have the best relationship, but I have forgiven her where I can hold a normal conversation and I can, here and there. But I know that when she calls, it's because she needs something. And so that's why I kind of like yes, I forgive you and I love you and I've tried a couple of times, but I'm just like, you know what, like this relationship is just, when you need me you're gonna come in,
Yeah.
but when you don't, it's just like whatever. And then like, molestation from family member that took a long time to forgive. And then like it was just a lot of things that growing up, getting cheated on, it took me a while. Actually, you know what? Getting cheated on, I was able to forgive fast. That's crazy, right? Because I was like, you know what? I'm more valuable than that. And I think it's because I already was learning about God at that time. And I was already starting to realize that without God, I'm not able to get through any situation. And so I would pray to God so much. And I'm like, God, like, the perfect timing, what had happened. And I just kind of like, just left it at that. That person tried to talk to me a couple of times and I was like, nah, I know my value. I was like, I'm not going to allow this to come back and be like, no, but you learn your lesson and you move on.
Yeah.
Like you're also not going to entertain that person. Again, if they hurt you that way.
Yeah.
At least not me in that time. But I was able to forgive that fast. And I think it was all glory to God. The other things took me a while just because they kind of lingered on. And it was like built on resentment towards those things that had happened. And because it happened multiple times, it kind of built a deeper hole.
Yeah.
As you can say, in my soul, in my heart. It really took it really hard. But with that, I was with the cheating. I was just like, you know what, go, go with the other girl. It's fine. But yeah, like it's hard to continue normal with the person that has hurt you.
Yeah, it can be a challenge. I know, it's like you were saying, there's conversations that you can have with certain people. Because I know, like, in between friends, we talk about different things.
Yeah.
And I still remember there would be subjects that my friends would talk about when we were younger. Or things that they would watch on TV and they come, like, and start talking about. And they were like, oh my gosh, this, that, and this. And I kind of would just sit there and be really quiet. Because in that moment, it was like, oh, I really don't want to talk about this. Like, this is not something that I want to, express or, tell you how I feel. Because I always felt like, for me, it was more, even though people think I'm going to have emotions, but I do, I will cry. Whenever I can't explain myself, or I feel like I'm losing control of what I'm feeling, I cry. I will instantly start crying. I could be angry. I could be happy. It doesn't matter. But when I feel like my emotions are overpowering, I tend to cry. And that's how I break down. I was like,
not easily, but it takes me a while to get there, but me.
And, but I do remember, that, but I will say, like I said, when I started coming to church, there was a point where I was starting to heal. And a lot of it had to do with forgiving myself. Because I feel like a lot of it was, as you start to understand things, you start to blame yourself too.
Yeah, I love that. Because also I think that we allow too many things to come into our life that we are not we should be more protective of our heart and our soul.
Yeah.
And when we allow things to happen or things to be said to us in a certain way,
Yeah.
then it hurts us even more.
I tell people sometimes, I'm like, the hardest thing you could ever do is forgive yourself. I'm not playing. It's easier to forgive someone else.
Yeah.
But to forgive yourself, it's a different state of mind because...
Well, if you're hard with yourself, because people sometimes don't care. They just live their life as, unless they come to God and fully repent. But I feel like some people just are for themselves, live for themselves.
Well, I know for me, it was a really hard journey.
But
when
why?
It comes.
Because you had the morals of Christ in your heart, though.
Yes, girl.
And you knew you were doing wrong, but people don't know they're in sin.
I think my thing, it wasn't even about that I was doing wrong, because it wasn't what I was doing. It was just what had been done. So I feel like, to me, it was more of punishment to myself of not forgiving, because I felt that shame, and I felt, I felt as if, it was because of me, when in reality, it had nothing to do with me. It was just, like we said, molestation, rape, anything like that, it can be a very...
It takes a toll on your mental state. Everything, actually.
Yes.
Mental, physical, emotional.
It overtakes so much.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy because I tell my husband sometimes, I'm like, I feel like I've become a lot more open about it and been able to talk a little more about it. I don't extensively fully talk about it.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
But I know that I have been a little more open about it. But I tell him, I said, the more that I have, the more I've noticed that I've kind of like, I can relax. I don't.
And to know that you're not alone.
Yes.
And to know that, the things that happen to me, it's not because of me.
Yeah.
It's because of someone else and how they felt at that moment.
Yeah. And I still, I tell him one time, I'm like, I think the biggest thing that really marked in my life was having someone who was praying for me and telling me, it's not that you haven't been forgiven. And they were like, is that you won't forgive yourself. Mm-hmm. And they were like, until you do that, you will not be okay, no matter where you go. And I've just kind of like, whatever. Because, sometimes you don't want to acknowledge that,
that it's you.
And I still remember, I was just through preachings and through messages and stuff like that you listen to. I learned that part of forgiving is not necessarily forgetting, but making amends with what happened. Because, the acknowledgement has to be there. Because, let's be honest, we're never going to truly forget everything.
No.
We put it away, we lock it away, but we don't really forget it.
Yeah, we don't. And I think it's just a memory box that we have that we can pull out whenever we need it. But I think it's something that we also forgive that person and move on. Yeah. And we don't carry it with us anymore. And I think that's what God does. And He takes all our burdens and He takes all of what we've been dealing with or what's been done to us. Mm-hmm. That way we will live a free life. And that can just be part of our testimony. Yeah. Because when we live a life full that we're just carrying, kind of like I said, the analogy, like Santa Claus bag that you're just stuffing all your triggering moments, your sadness, all the things that you felt when those things happened, then you just put it. It's not about what happened to you. It's about how you felt in that moment when it happened to you.
It's just the emotion that you got from it.
That's what carries on.
Yes.
And what happened to you is in the past. You can't change what happened to you, but you can change how you felt about it. You can change how you deal with it now. Yes. Like, okay, you know what? That's just the thing that happened in the past.
It's like I heard someone say one time, well, I hear it a lot now, but someone once said, whether you're going to stay in that victim mentality or whether you're going to move on and be stronger than what it was. Yeah. And it really is truth. Like, I'm not saying that no one's trauma, is ever belittled or anything. Like, no, what happened is real, no matter how big of the degree it was. It's real.
And your emotions are real. Yeah. Your emotions, you're entitled to feel how you felt in that moment. But to navigate through those emotions is very important. Yes. And to really acknowledge, like you said, acknowledge how you feel. And then you'll be able to, okay, you know what? I felt like this Now, how can we navigate to be like happier again? Excuse me. Or how can we navigate those emotions to be, to know that that doesn't hold your value, to know that you are not determined or categorized as what happened to you, but you're categorized as who you are.
Yeah.
And if you allow that to hold your identity, like, oh, I'm just a person that gets raped, or I'm just a person that holds anger.
Yeah.
Or you know how people just say, I'm just like that. You know, but in reality, it's because things have happened to them in their life that they hold on to that emotion and they make that part of their identity, and they don't
You
allow
make it a
God.
personality.
Yeah, exactly. I like that.
Like, you really do.
I really like that, and it's just like a trait that you put on yourself that you just carry with you, and it's not like that. Like, people don't understand how much you're shaping yourself into a person whenever God's trying to take that away from you.
Yes.
And it's just like a constant battle.
Yes.
And that's when cycles happen.
Yeah. And it's where, we get to, forgiveness does not mean you are bitter.
Oh, yeah.
I always think about things and I'm like, okay, this happened. How do I feel about it?
Yeah.
If my little bitter self is still in a funk, then I need to figure out what's going on, because at this point, it's not affecting anybody but yourself. And I know
the person that did that to you don't care no more.
Yeah, and I know for anybody out there, for anyone who's ever been in a situation where you should have never been, because at the end of the day, things that happens to us doesn't mean that we deserve them, but how you put your action forward afterwards is what really counts. Because
don't be afraid to speak up.
Yes, because sometimes by you allowing that person to minimize you is what gives it power. And I know for me, I've learned that, which I feel like even at a young age, I kind of told myself, okay, it happened, but it's not who I want to be and not who I am. Like, I will be better than this. This will not, take me under, because for, a moment there, it kind of did. Yeah. And I, when I saw myself in the mirror, it's like I could not recognize myself. I didn't know who I was. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's where the scary part comes from. It's not about what happened, but it's about whenever you don't recognize yourself anymore. You're in this state where you're like, I don't know who you are.
Who are you?
Yeah, and it's like, no, you got to find yourself. You got to.
Postpartum does that to you. Postpartum does that to you. I'm telling you, all the moms out here, I'm sure they can relate. But also I want to say that triggering the triggers that you feel in the moment that things are said doesn't mean that you failed at forgiveness. It just means that the emotions just surface up. Mm-hmm. And then how you navigate through those emotions at that time will help you to get to the next level of that forgiveness. Because there's levels, there's tiers, there's things that you have to, emotions that you have to navigate through to be able to fully forgive something or someone.
Are we still recording? No. Okay.
Oh, yeah, we're still.
Oh.
You're good.
I'm like, we're still recording? Okay. But yes, forgiveness, like she said, it does comes in different, like processes and tiers and stuff like that, because some of us forgive at a surface level where it's just words. We say, I forgive you, but in reality, you really didn't. Some of us truly want to forgive, but the problem is still there attacking. And then some of us really do, like, when we say it, we really mean it. Like, it's just like, I forgive you.
I'm not saying I forgive you unless I forgive you. I'm telling you, like, sorry I don't take that lightly. No. Like, I'm not going to say sorry. There's people to this day where I choose to avoid them. And if they still come up, I'll be like, I don't have anything against you, but I don't feel like you're good for my soul. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're not compatible as friends, and do I want your lifestyle to be in my lifestyle? Like it's like you have to pick and choose who you get around, but it doesn't mean that you haven't forgiven them for what they've done. And like you said, hold your boundaries and keep them
Yeah.
apart.
But yeah, I know like even in our relationships we've talked about, especially like in my marriage, tones.
Watch your tongue.
Yeah, like don't yell at me because I get upset and I'm the type that you yell at me, I'm gonna yell at you.
I feel like that's also a respect thing, but it also because you haven't forgiven someone for screaming at you when you were younger like that.
My dad.
It's triggers.
My dad. I know.
My dad never screamed at me.
I feel like I'll
I
be
don't
honest.
think.
I don't think my dad really screamed, but I feel like when his voice, like when he was serious, his tone of voice got like
Yeah.
because till this day, if my dad still gives me that look or that tone of voice, I'm sitting there like, okay, let me chill out because this is getting real.
Yeah.
And I tell my husband sometimes because he'll yell at me, and I'm like, "You're not my dad," kind of thing. And it really does. Like to me, it's like, dang.
It associates with.
Yeah. Oh my God, girl. No. Y'all. This is. I don't even think this is like in our subject, whatever we're talking about today. But I just remembered. I know we were talking about the body remembers or flinches sometimes at certain things. So for all of y'all who grew up in a Hispanic, culture, or maybe in the old time culture, my dad. Okay, so my dad always used a belt to whoop us when we did something wrong. I'm gonna be real honest with you. My whoopings were well deserved. Like I ain't even gonna lie. Like I was not your perfect child. I knew sometimes I was doing wrong, and I was still gonna go do it.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I was that child. But I still remember there was one day that my husband, I think we were getting back from church, or I don't know, I can't remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was church. I think he went to take off his belt. And when I heard that, I literally froze in that second, girl. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm about to get whooped. Like it took me back a few years. And I was like, oh my God, I'm about to get whooped. In that moment, I kind of had to remind myself, we're like, no, you're okay. Like, oh, okay. But I'm like, I feel like this is why I don't like belts. I feel like this is why I honestly don't like to wear them. Don't like them at all. I'm just like, oh, I don't care for it. But because my dad, whenever we were younger, I still remember like he would be like, go get the belt. And that's what sucked even more. Like you had to choose your weapon. Like it was like,
hit me with this instead.
but I'm like, my dad did not beat me, y'all. I promise y'all. It was just more of
when you needed it, discipline.
Yeah, because honestly, I think I was my dad's trouble child sometimes. I was his first, so it was a lot of learning there. And then I was very spoiled. I have no shame in saying that. So I feel like sometimes because I knew that I would get my way, I would do things on purpose. And
manipulate them.
And my dad did not like that. He was very like, no, you will not be that way or kind of thing. But it shaped me into who I am today. I will say that. I'm like I'm not in jail. So I feel like it was a win. I was like,
not in jail, not in the hospital.
Yes, I feel like it's a win. But yeah, sorry. I just literally came back. I was like,
that leads us to the second one. Like you overreact to small things.
Yes,
like
it won't even that serious, y'all. And I'm over here, like really thinking I was gonna kill.
That's trauma for you. Like when you have a car crash too. Like whenever, girl, I've had so many. I'm just like, look, stop driving like that. Like, I was like, I'm so careful now, especially with my kids. I'm like,
no, it'd be like me. Every time I see a cop.
Oh yeah,
I freak out.
I think our parents instilled that fear in us.
Oh no, girl, mine wasn't because of that. Mine was because your girl here got 9 speeding tickets in 1 year.
Oh, so it's trauma. Huh?
Yeah, so every time I see a cop, I'm like, nope, not today. Like, let me slow it down. But I feel like even in my marriage, like there's been times where, like for instance, like we were talking about, it's not the dishes, kind of thing. I overreact about when the trash doesn't get taken out. Like I'll sit there and I'll sit there and be in a mood, I'm in a funk, and it's just like slamming things down and stuff. So I'm mad.
Yeah.
Did it really take that overreaction from me? No, but because we've
So,
already we've already talked about this.
Not only that, I feel like also because you're already feeling a type of way of maybe what happened at work, or maybe like it's just a lead up of thing or build up of things that you felt that little thing can offset you in a way that you didn't mean to. You didn't mean it in that way. You didn't mean to say it that way, but sometimes those things can just set you off. And I think that's another thing. Like, we don't get taught how to navigate through emotions and just be like, you know what, you can get your way in everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes even husbands can spoil us.
Yes.
And so I'm like, dang, like, why you spoil me this much? And then you don't give me that, or you don't do that no
you know
more.
what makes me so mad is that you have the audacity to get mad at me. And I'm like, you created this.
Yeah.
Like, this is your creation.
Like, you started doing this and this and this, and now you don't do that. I'm like,
excuse you?
What happened here?
Like, of course.
For me, it's like, oh, like, take the kids for a little bit. Like, sometimes he'll get home, Gustavo will get home, and he'll just like sit down. Oh, I'm tired, or no, I'm not gonna help you feed the boys. Like, literally, and he won't, because he's so tired. And I understand that. But I'm like, I'm tired too. Like, you don't understand what I go through all day long. Or if the dishes aren't done, like right now, if I go home and the dishes are not done, that irks my nerves, because I'm like, look, I am all day with the kids, and you were home, you're working, of course, but you can't just like do that when they go to sleep. Instead of, sometimes I have to get home and actually do that too. Yeah. But I'm like, I think it's because of what I was taught when I was younger. I'm like, when you see something's dirty, you clean it. Like, you don't just leave it there. I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I do have those moments where I just let the dishes pile up. And it's not because I'm being mean or anything, but I'm just so tired. Like, I'm just like,
oh, no.
When I was sick,
dishes overwhelm me.
When I was sick, I didn't do them. Actually, my suegra came over and she was like, look, let me help you out. All the toys are on the floor. Everything else was, set, because, only we touched the stuff that is taller, but the dishes weren't done and the toys are all over the floor. And she said, let me help you, because I know you're pregnant and you don't want to do nothing and you're sick. And I was like, thank you so much. But I feel like oftentimes, because of how we were taught, we kind of overreact, or maybe like it's an expectation of us that we shouldn't get angry about, and we shouldn't we should avoid letting those things
or
get to
even
that point.
like we say, I'm like talking about forgiving. When you really haven't forgave, you're going to overreact when something comes about again.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I know me and my husband, we sometimes we have arguments, and sometimes I'll be like, I'm sorry, about this, that. But let's say like it
happens again.
Like a few weeks down the line, and I told him, I forgave him about it and everything. But let's say this happens again. For me, it's more of, because it's already in the back of my head and I still haven't gotten over it. And I could have told you I forgave you in the moment, because honestly, I didn't want to talk about this anymore. And I just didn't want to deal with it, because we tend to minimize it and just say, we're over it. But as soon as it pops up again, I can see myself, like, my emotions go literally from a 1 to a 10. There's no intermediate, like there's no build up. It's just 1 to a 10. So you'll get I'm not talking to you, slamming things when I'm doing stuff, because I'm the type that, for some reason, I don't know why, I guess I like the quiet game for a reason. Like, I won't say nothing to you. Like, it is just blank silence from me, and I'm just slamming things. And I don't know why I do that. I always wonder that. I'm like, why do I do that? Like, instead of communicating, what's wrong.
Use your words.
Yeah.
Use your words.
As a teacher, that is the only thing you ever say all day. Use your words. And it's like,
no, I'm very quick with telling somebody, like, I'm like, hey, use your words, help me understand what you're feeling, because I can see your face and it's not matching what you're saying.
Yeah. No, me, I get really quiet. Like, I stop talking, and now, you will talk to me all day long and I will ignore you all day long. Like, that's just me. But that's how I know sometimes I'm like, okay, I did not get over it last time. This issue that we had, I did not get over it. And right now we're just like in the same cycle.
Yeah.
The same thing. The same feelings are, coming to the surface all over again. So I feel like, to really say that you forgive is to really hit stuff head on.
Yeah.
Even
to have those hard conversations.
Yeah. Even when you know that it might hurt your feelings, it might not be the outcome you're going to want. It might not, be the comfort conversation that you wanted to hear. But sometimes it's needed because you really don't want to go down the line and figure out, be like, oh, dang, this same thing all over again.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes we suppress the feeling rather than heal through the healings, heal through the process of what we're feeling. And forgetting, suppressing often means of avoiding, minimizing, saying, oh, it's fine, I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those things we use and we're just not over it because when we talk about it, it's like
it's over and over again.
Yeah,
it's the same.
It just boils your
it comes to the same conclusion every time.
Yeah.
It's like we just had this conversation the other day. I was like, I'm done.
Right. And I feel like there's only like about a few things that just irk my nerves, but other than that, I forgive so quickly. I'm just like a move it on type of person, but only things that really matter, I'm just like, okay, yeah, I think I'm holding on to this a little too long. Like it's not about me, and then I'm mad about it. I'm like, why am I mad about something that's not about me? But whatever.
But I do also know that when we do forgive, parts of it is a healing. Like we said, it comes in process, When we do healing, it's a process. You start at point 1, which is, pinpointing, the root of everything. 2, really laying out what you're feeling, because sometimes instead of suppressing them and letting them emotions build up on within, because on your face you can smile all day long, but the emotions that you're feeling
I
inside,
can't hide emotions,
girl. I know.
My face was like, I don't agree with that. So my words match it because I will go off.
But sometimes we tend to do that. We just suppress it and we don't want to talk about it. It also is setting boundaries. Forgiveness can be setting boundaries. Just because you forgive someone or something or whatever it is does not mean that you stay in the same situation. And I want to make that pretty clear because we tend to confuse forgiveness with staying in the same cycle. And it's not. Forgiveness is breaking a cycle. It really is. It comes to the point where, for instance, I've had friendships where, the friendship was so toxic that it was at the point where I was questioning the beliefs that I had, the way that I acted, the way that I talked, because it wasn't me. It was because of the friendship that I had. And also that friendship, crossed a lot of, boundary lines that was respect and, being belittled and stuff like that. And to me, I still remember even when that friend came up to me, to say they were sorry, which I true wholeheartedly really did forgive, because at the end of the day, sometimes you kind of go through it too and you're kind of like, okay, well, this is kind of my fault too, because I should have said something. I should have, stood up for myself. But
and then oftentimes I feel like we build up an emotion towards something that someone's doing, but they don't know that they're doing something wrong. And that's where we hold the grudge and it escalates to a problem.
Yeah.
And then it could lead to unforgiveness.
Yeah. And for me, that's what it was. Like, my forgiveness wasn't, oh, we became best friends and we were best buddies again. No. My forgiveness was, I forgive you, but I'm done. Like, this is my line. I don't want to do this again. I will be respectful towards you. I will help you in whatever you need. But that friendship that used to be is gone. And that is perfectly okay. Because like I said, it is not a cycle that you're going to keep reliving.
For sure.
to forgive something and really wholeheartedly is to actually be in the bigger person, stepping away and saying, you know what, this is not good for me. This is not good for my mental state, not good for my emotions. This is not good for my walk with Jesus. I need to set apart. I need to set this down. Or even if you stay, in a friendship or in a relationship and stuff, it's setting that boundary with that person, being verbal and saying, I don't like this, and moving forward, I will not be disrespected in this way. And it also lets that other person know, like, hey, what you did, it's really offsetting how this other person feels. And that is a way that also forgiveness can look. Because I know sometimes we tend to believe that just because you forgive someone, all is okay and cupcakes and rainbows again. But it's not. Sometimes it is, that separation that you have to do.
But you can't pretend it don't happen. I feel like oftentimes we can pretend something didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because I think we put an identity or a persona on someone. That's just how they are. That's just how they are. But we're not big enough to step away, and we allow that to keep hurting us. And then we just like, well, that didn't happen. Like, just throw it out the window. Keep hanging out with that person.
Like, the only person you're lying to is yourself at the end of the day. Because everyone else sees it, but you just don't want to.
Yeah. And that is so sad to me, because I feel like oftentimes we put ourselves in positions where we're used to it. We're used to those positions, and we just got accustomed to it, and we just allow things to build on whenever we could be the change and break it off and have those hard talks, but we just allow it to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a couple of situations in my life like that. But I feel like because I feel like I'm hard to let go of things that I'm attached to, that I'm emotionally attached to, or like I love deeply. But I know that it has come to an end, but I still hold on to it. Does that make sense? And I just think that, like, pretending like it didn't happen is because you're just in that cycle, and you've gotten used to how they treat you. And oftentimes it hurts you more than you think.
Yeah. Sometimes, it can be the notion of, if I pretended it doesn't matter, then no one else, needs to hear about this. Or, or sometimes
I'll just keep my emotions to myself.
Yes, kind of thing. And everyone is valid in their own emotions. You really, really are. As much as people want to minimize, I don't know why they feel that way.
But I don't feel like sometimes I don't feel like it's emotions. I think it's customs that they've been taught. It's not really how they feel about what is being done or what's being said, rather than it's just what they've been taught. And I think oftentimes we have things that we practice because we believe it's going to become true if we continue to practice this thing. Why do we pray? Because we know that God's going to hear us. But people don't believe that, right? I mean, I feel like that's to the roof kind of analogy, but it's true. Like, we do things based on what we believe, and what's been taught to us. And some people don't believe the word of God, but we chose to believe the word of God, so we're going to act like as the word of God tells us to act. But sometimes the word of God is twisted and told to you a certain way of how they understand it, rather than your own understanding of how to do things. And oftentimes I feel like we shift to other people's belief rather than what we understand of things.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, forgiveness, at the end of the day, if you forgave, how are you feeling? How do you truly feel?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to say that forgiveness, like when you forgive, when you say, oh, I forgive you, you're not going to feel, oh my God, automatically, I'm okay.
Yeah. Like,
because it is healing. But when you look at it from the perspective of I forgave, there's clarity there. There's, okay, yes, I forgave. I'm still a little bit hurt. I still feel a little bit sad, or I still feel a little bit angry about it. But truly, I do forgive you, and I do see, the other side of this. Like, I'm like, okay, give me, a day or two, or give me these, these boundaries that I put, and I will be fine. To forgive is also whenever a problem that arises that's similar or is the same, you will also come with a different way of approaching it. Because when you learn to forgive something, then you know how to approach that problem as well. In marriage, that's one of the things that I have realized about myself, that yes, me and my husband, we might have arguments, we might have things that we disagree, and there's things that happens, and sometimes we come to one another and we're like, I'm sorry. And when I truly, forgive him and stuff like that, even when a problem arises again, even if it's the same thing, I don't hit it with, being whatever, or what's it, just, like what's that word? Or like bringing it back to memory. I'd just be like, okay, we've already had this problem. We talked about this and we know this is coming from this. Why don't we try to kind of, like maneuver this differently? Our action tends to be different.
Yeah, forgiveness, I feel like, yeah, like you said, there has to be an action that follows. Because oftentimes, yes, it is a process, but there has to be notable changes in what and how you talk or what you did, whatever the problem is. Like, there has to be a difference, because if you really love that person, if you really care about the person, you're going to do everything that it requires to be able to make that relationship work. And if it's constantly hurting more than it's healing, then maybe you should reconsider on how you're dealing with those situations. Maybe talking isn't enough. Maybe you guys gotta seek outside source on what has happened.
Which, like I said, forgiving it's tricky, but it's doable.
Yeah.
It comes with a form of life. It comes, there isn't a person who's going to go through life without having to forgive once, or going through a conflict. It's always everywhere.
Yeah, and oftentimes I feel like we can deny how we're feeling about a situation, and we just let it happen. Yeah. But it just lingers on and hurts us even more.
Yeah, but to forgive, it also comes with, admitting that whatever happened did hurt you in a way, or did change you in a way.
Excuse me.
You don't forgive to be the stronger person, to be the bigger person. Because sometimes we tend to, I know for me, I tend to say, I'm going to be the bigger person and just say I'm sorry. But that's not how that works. Same thing with forgiveness. That's not how it works. Just because you forgive, it doesn't make you the bigger person, doesn't make you the stronger person, because at the end of the day, to the outside world is what they might see, but inside is what you're feeling. It always comes down to the perspective of how you see yourself. If you can look at yourself in a mirror and say, I really did forgive that person or that situation, and be like, I'm okay, then good for you. But whenever you look at the mirror and you still feel anger, even just by thinking about it, or you tend to like have a reaction, because your body will react. Whenever you feel a certain way about a situation or person, you react. Then truly, did you forgive, or did you just do it to put on a show?
And then the healing process will look like you actually rebuilding the trust that you had within that relationship, and then knowing that that person can grow from you having that conversation. And I think sometimes being the bigger person is starting out the conversation rather than just saying, you know what, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But really getting to know why that person acted the way they act. I feel like that's why a lot of friendships or relationships end. Is because a lot of the times you're not trying to be understanding. You're trying to just fight against the problem. Or maybe sometimes you don't acknowledge that you're the problem. And sometimes that makes a dent in the relationship where you're not able to patch it because you're just continuously denying
Yeah.
that the problem could be you, or you're not understanding.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, it comes with like you said, rebuilding. Rebuilding is the biggest thing ever. Even if it's just rebuilding yourself alone or rebuilding with someone. Know that rebuilding doesn't mean that everything's gonna walk perfectly. There's gonna be falls along the way. You rebuilding is like running an experiment. There's gonna be things that go right, and there's some things that are just not gonna go, and you're gonna have to rethink how you're gonna do this.
Yeah.
But forgiveness gives you a sensation of release. And it's like I said at the beginning, once I started talking about certain things, it was like I finally kind of like I felt okay. Like I was like, dang, you don't understand. Like there is a weight that you carry when you don't forgive. And when you actually do, it's like something's really been lifted off of you. And it's not just like generally speaking, like, just to say that. No, it's literally you feel it in yourself. You feel like that weight that just comes off completely. And you're like, okay, like I can breathe again.
Yeah. True. So all in all, like forgiving can look like you identifying the problem, going to that person and talking about the problem, and then getting to a conclusion of what you guys are going to work out. Because sometimes it just takes working out the problem to not hold that grudge against them and actually go on the road to forgiving.
Yeah.
And be understanding.
Yeah. And also, forgiving is, being able to admit to yourself when you're not okay. And that is the biggest step that you can take. I feel like sometimes it's where we don't want to like take the step out is saying, I'm not okay. Like this would happen. You just kind of be like, oh, whatever, cool. But when you actually do get to that point of forgiving, it's coming to, realizing and saying, I'm not okay. And it's okay that I'm not okay. I need to feel this and I need to say something about it, do something about it, create something out of it too. Because sometimes out of forgiveness, you can create something. Like it's
something better, a stronger bond.
Yeah.
When you're honest, when you're trustworthy, when you can have problem solving skills, oftentimes that bond can become stronger through that process of forgiveness.
Yeah. And it's forgiven is not given in.
Yeah.
I know most people see it that way. They're like, no, because that means that I'm the weaker person, or, I'm the one that has to give in. It's not given in. Forgiveness is truly just admitting to yourself
a lifestyle.
It's just truly admitting to yourself that, yes, there comes a moment in life where everything, is falling apart, and I need to acknowledge the fact that what's going on right now isn't working and we need to figure something out.
Yeah.
That is what forgiveness is. But
yes, this has been Forgiveness Isn't Amnesia. And thank you for joining us today. It has been a pleasure. As we know, we cannot hold on to grudges. We cannot hold on to things in our life because we'll never be happy.
The only thing you can hold on is to Jesus, y'all.
Yes. But thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Until next time here on Sip and Chat. Bye-bye.